Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone around the world. This is Wraithkind back again with another episode of our Forgotten Realms D&D campaign with the Protectors. And in this episode, this next couple episodes, we are going to continue our journey into the Feywild. What will the Protectors encounter as they enter the Seelie Court? Well, we'll have to wait and find out.
So you want me to go ahead,
Yeah.
Brian? Okay. After narrowly escaping a few bears and a Draco Lich, or young Draco Lich, we noticed that the magic of the Yearwood was fading, and with it also the portal had begun to flicker. And seeing that, very injured Don just rolled right on through, followed quickly by Banner, thinking that this was sort of their last chance. Emeraldy and Beetle lingered a little bit and dug around to make sure they weren't leaving anything important behind. And into the Feywild, everyone went, safe and sound, or at least as safe and sound as can be expected once crossing through the plains. There, they spent some time resting and recovering from that battle, and then we sort of got our bearings. Banner spent some time trying to sense Talia's presence, and with help from Beetle and Cog, they were able to pinpoint a structure somewhere off in the direction that he sensed her, and the group headed that way. Along the way, if I'm missing something, you can stop me. But along the way, Lycum was picking up a scent, and then suddenly her started hearing things as well. And the group stopped and thought they should see what this creature or person was. And interestingly enough, they encountered a large ape-like creature bearing a club with some very large feet, who they managed to communicate with through some sign language and gave him some food. They invited him along to join them, hearing that his family seemed to be deceased, but he passed on that, or seemed to, based on the limited language they were able to achieve there. After that, the group kept moving. Later encountered another ape that Lycum seemed to take a liking to and was trying to study as they got the heck out of there. I think it was, I don't know, 3 times as big as Lycum, maybe in direwolf form, if I recall. And then on their way out of the forest into a sort of a plains, the environment started to change and became very vine-like. And as they tried to leave, the vines attacked them and slammed Dawn pretty good, and they got away, though. At which point, in the plains then, and all this is just sort of traveling to this destination, I think they took another rest and encountered a lion-like creature, not so much a creature as a bipedal sentient being who actually helped them narrowly escape death from a swarm of insects that basically devoured anything walking and living in their path. And you'll have to remind me what those people were called.
The Malawi.
The Malawi. The lion folk, and we spent the night outside their village and enjoyed much hospitality and shared our hospitality in return with them. And they pointed us on the way to Sildir, the Star Elf capital, which is where we are heading. And on the next day, after enjoying a night's rest, we entered just the outskirts of the city, where Banner attempted to call out to the wolves of House Stiori, which the Malawi said were patrolling that area, and did succeed. And actually, Thornkiller, Talia's right hand among the wolves, showed up, and they followed him back to the family house, where presumably Tolliver and others await. And we arrived just inside the gates, surrounded by the many wolves there, I think at our last session, at our last few minutes.
So up on your screen is what a Malawi might have looked like approximately.
That's cool.
Yeah, they were very cool, very friendly.
And Emeraldy had direwolf armor made for her Lycum,
That's true.
made out of bones. Yeah, it's pretty
Yep.
Yeah,
pretty
that's
awesome.
like a breastplate for wolves.
Actually, I do have one more question before we get started.
Yeah.
Will someone tell me what their banner, what XP are you at right now? I don't know if I added mine from last session or not.
Well, I'm at 31,300.
Actually, I can tell you what
Okay.
everybody's at. Hold on. Oh, actually, I take that back. I didn't get last session. But as of 7/29, you guys, Dawn, you should be at 28,437 plus whatever you made last session.
Okay, so I did, either I or you added it to mine then, because mine's at 30,637.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Speaking of which, I neglected to write that down because I figured that up on the fly. Does anybody remember what I awarded last time?
Just 1,200.
I didn't even remember that you did,
It was-
that I was around for it.
Julia
Can you
said
hear me?
1,200. Yeah, I hear
Yeah,
you.
1,200.
1,200?
Yep, I think so. That was
I
it.
mean, 1,500.
It was at least 6,000. It was at least how much XP do I need for level 8?
It was approximately
Yep, 6,000.
4,000.
4,375.
Yeah, about that.
Beetle and
I
Banner
would
would
take 100.
appreciate that.
Also, you let us each pick an epic boon from the DMG.
And you handed out legendary items. It was great.
Oh yeah, I forgot about those.
The staff that I made in my game on Wednesday magically teleported into this one. So
The scepter of
the most-
power has arrived.
the most broken magic item in the history of magic items.
So, you all are just stepping inside the walls of the Steora compound, and you notice that along the walls on the inside there are narrow battlements, though they are at the moment unattended. Thanks to the watchfulness of the wolves, archers only man the walls when alerted of trouble. The grounds are carpeted with vibrant green grass carefully cultivated by house druids to be the perfect height. Never too short nor too long. You see a host of fey wolves. Most are lounging and others are playing with young pups. Some adolescent wolves can be seen near a wide barn-like structure off to the side with simple wooden support beams shaped with white stone walls there's a few white-skinned elves with that group. As well as a couple of other figures, in strangely padded armor, which stands before a crouched wolf that is growling dangerously and loud. Matter of fact, you can hear it from this distance, which is over 100 yards away at this point. You can see the hackles of this particular young wolf raised, and as you watch, a terse command is given by one of the elves, and the young wolf darts forward, huge salivating jaws clamping down on an arm, and the wolf begins thrashing violently, shaking the poor stuffed dummy to shreds. No longer obscured by the seamless granite walls, you find yourselves in awe of the immensity of the mansion itself. Wings of the mansion sprawl to the left and right. Its main support columns made of naturally shaped trees that curve over and meld together in the middle of each hall. Its branches clutching the white walls of the 3-story structure, and then blossoms into a singular trunk with thick branches providing a canopy over the roof of each wing. The roof of each wing shines with emerald light, is made up of tiles of green chitinous materials. Upon closer inspection, Banner, you remember that it's actually made of hardened and lacquered, the hardened and lacquered back of giant beetle carapaces. The wings of the mansion come together in the form of the main hall that rises higher still. Larger shaped trees from the rim of a great dome to meet form the rim of a great dome to meet at its tip, forming a much larger trunk that continues on to contribute to the overall canopy of the forest high above. Facing the front, two large double doors carved at the top that stretch near, or curved at the top that stretch near 20 feet above, and upon which is carefully carved the head of a wolf that spans the center of both doors. It's so skillfully done that each strand of fur seems to be represented, impossible though it may seem. The wolf head is framed by the carving of two trees whose canopy form the top of the doors themselves, and a porch extends out from the door, framed by an arcade, which, with each arch giving way to thick curved cords reminiscent of thick roots of trees. Braced on the front of each pillar are small platforms upon which drift globes rest, providing a soft blue light. The gray stone of the porch is carved with artfully curved lines that sweep away from the door and draw your eyes to two curved staircases made of the same white granite as the walls, and intricate black painted iron balustrades of vinework. As you approach, the vinework of the balustrades seem to move and writhe with life, though you quickly realize it is simply the genius of the artist at work, a trick of light and shadow. What do you do?
Damn, that looks good. I say in wolf because I'm still direwolf, so only Banner hears me.
How are the wolves reacting to the wild's wolf that's with Lycum's in his green wild sharp-edged wolf form? I'm just curious how they're regarding him.
None of the wolves seem particularly alarmed, though you do notice that no few number of them have, even though they remain laying or lounging where they are, their ears are pricked up and their eyes are carefully marking your progress. You have a feeling that if it wasn't for the fact that Thornkiller is still with you and kind of padding towards the front doors of the mansion, your experience entering the place would have been vastly different.
I would continue to follow Thornkiller as far as he leads us to the door, and I say, "Where is the master of the house this day?"
Okay.
Or whatever you call things here.
Thornkiller doesn't readily reply. He continues towards the front, up one of the two curved staircases towards the front door. And as you climb the staircases, one after Thornkill, you see the first signs of life aside from the wolf trainers that you've seen as you walked in, and as two members of the House Steora Guard flank each door with wearing brown leather armor that seemed to be made of various overlaying leaves, and though on closer inspection they are quite obviously just leather, each carrying a ornate but sharp and dangerous looking polearm. Thornkiller rests on his haunches by the door, and as you approach, one of the guards said, "Ugh, what are you doing here?"
What the hell do you think I'm doing here? Go get Tolliver.
The guard doesn't at first respond as he kind of fixes you with a baleful stare, gold eyes flickering in the twilight. the pink light of the Feywild. And after a moment, Thornkiller actually stands back up on all fours, and he just kind of growls softly. Guard just kind of sighs, nods to the other guard, and goes on in. He's not gone very long. You have a feeling that Tolliver may have been close by as he reemerges. Another couple minutes pass, and then you see a platinum blonde head poke through the opening of the two doors. Oh, we lose someone?
That was like him. He's back.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Something just crashed.
You see a young elf with gold-flecked silver eyes as he kind of takes you in. He goes, Oh, Banner, what are you doing here? Come in. And he steps back and pulls the right door wide. I wasn't expecting you. It's so good to see you. I think. Well, come in.
I nod to Thornkiller as I pass by. And thanks.
As you all step in, Banner, you're accustomed to this sight, but everyone else is perhaps a little taken aback as you see the Great Hall. It's massive. Its width easily 100 feet, and the length probably twice that or more. The flooring is provided by one single slab of oak. The trunk of a tree far larger than perhaps your mind can grasp, covered with some kind of material that provides a high gloss, which reflects blue fairy lights that are floating high above. Branches from the shaped trees that form the support beams of the structure reach downward, providing an awe-inspiring natural feeling as their leaves are highlighted in the soft shafts of pink light seeping in from windows inset in the dome itself, providing a contrast to the blue fairy lights. At the end of the great hall is the now familiar dais, Banner, upon which sits a carved basalt throne covered generously with white wolf furs. The firewall ends in large windows that run the height of the wall, framed by the trunks of smaller trees. Along either side of the wall, you see a balcony and two arched walkways that span the hall, allowing passage from one wing to the next without having to transit to the stairs down to the ground floor. You see 4 sets of smaller doors leading to the left and the right. Tolliver is continuing in, flanking a long table that takes up the majority of the centerpiece of this hall, easily 100 feet in length and about 6 feet in width, lined on either side with oaken chairs. One chair is pulled out well away from the long table, and you see on the table a bunch of collection of parchments and an inkwell and a quill. Next to it, Tolliver's pan flute, which he had apparently been playing with. I didn't know that you were capable of coming back already. Welcome.
Put it in check him.
I'm sorry?
It's not Velas's forte, but he'd like to insight check this guy.
Okay. For what exactly?
Well, he's seeming kind of sketchy. I think he might, from what Banner's been telling us, I think he might there might be something wrong, and he's trying to stall us.
Okay. And while you're insight checking, go ahead and make your insight check.
Banner.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, if you're asking what we're doing, Banner's going to
I suck.
step in front of the group. He will give Tolliver a formal bow. It's Tolliver? Lord Tolliver. I just want to introduce you to the protectors. They helped me get here.
Like him in his wolf form, bows a little bit.
Tolliver continues towards his seat. He doesn't necessarily even bother to look back at you all. Banner, you're used to such arrogant behavior. The others perhaps less so, as he merely scoots his seat forward and grabs his pan flute, and he starts playing a flirty little chorus, and he seems to be staring off in the air for a moment, and then he just pauses, sighs, shakes his head, and puts his pan flute down.
Velas,
Well, very well. He gets up and kind of straightens himself up to his full height, which now seems not that intimidating, though you get the sense that there's a bit of an aura of power radiating from him. He says, "The House Deora welcomes all Outlanders for the time being, and Banner."
looks at him and goes, "You played that flute well, but if you'd like some lessons, I'd be happy to give them to you."
He stares at you, Velas, and for a moment he holds your eyes, and then he just dismisses you. He says, "Banner, tell me, have you heard from Talia?"
I'm here because she called me, not for lack of trying. Although not that I haven't been trying to get here since I was pushed out.
Yes, well, I'm afraid things have not improved markedly since your departure. However, I've been trying to maneuver subtly to find out whatever happened to her. You understand, there's no proof at all. There's just simply her absence.
You know what happened, Tolliver.
Of course. And so now I ask you, how do I prove it?
Well, so what have you been doing here? And Banner sort of stretches out his full height a little bit too, and having given Tolliver the respect that Banner thought necessary upon first entering the house, says, "Have you been playing the pan flute, or have you been looking for her?"
He stares at you for a moment, and you see a little bit of fire in his eyes, deep within it, before he kind of blinks a couple times, and he says, "I have been working. As you know, the diplomatic arena, the court is not my arena. However, between Shaila and I, we have been able to, well, cast some suspicion towards Anwell and his house. The Empress, as you know, cannot show her hand, cannot show favoritism. And so things have been, let's just say, move an inch at a time rather than a step at a time.
And
You must
you know the
understand that even though House Iladi is the second most powerful house, and even though Shaila does have the Empress's ear, the Empress still cannot incline her head to hear her and none other.
and what is stopping you from finding her then? I'm not asking you what's stopping you from putting an end to Anwell. I'm asking you what stopped you from finding her.
It's simply an absence of places to look. We cannot merely go barging into their house and demand the return of Talia when they simply deny that they have her. With no proof, how can I force my case in the court or otherwise?
Well, we might have... I'll never understand. But I might have a bargaining chip that might work in our favor. Talia told me something I don't understand. She actually sent me here to warn the Empress that House Catha...
Stay
on
your
the-
tongue. Do not say that in this house.
Fine, House Crow aims to move against her. I don't even know how it's related.
Quite, House Crow has not been heard of for millennia. Though I have no doubt it does still exist. Or so the legends say. But truly they are just legends.
I wouldn't be so sure. I heard it from... Well, I heard her... I wouldn't say from her lips, but she told me herself. Also, I can sense her presence,
Ah,
which may give us some way to find her.
now that is unexpected. I was not aware that she could draw you that mightily across plains.
It's, well, while I've felt her directionally, let's say, it's only been since I've gotten here.
Not
Can I
surprising.
insight check him?
4?
Just general upfrontness.
Sure.
Like, is he? I don't know. He seems fishy to me.
Sure.
That makes two of us. You did way better than me.
Can I insight check Banner to see if I think he knows what's going on because Don is confused?
Beetle, based on his posture and everything, at first glance he is calm, collected, in control, and is confident. But then as you continued to watch him throughout this conversation, you start to pick up other visual clues. A hint of shadows under the eyes. Moments where his shoulders begin to kind of droop before he realizes it and he consciously squares them up again. He is, as far as you can tell, being honest. What he's not obviously saying, but his body language is he is under an immense amount of stress, and he is quite out of his league.
Okay.
Tolliver.
Yes,
Where-
Banner. Oh!
What was that?
Lost your video.
Oh, mine?
Hold on. Oh, there, it's back.
Okay. Hang on a second. Sorry. I'm just shuffling through some notes. Shalila has been if you've been working with Shalila, then I think, well, I guess the question is, I think we need to meet with her and figure out what we can do with this information.
Well,
Not that she wants to see me by any means.
yes, well. It is true, Shaila has merely tolerated you. But I am in agreement. She does need to know of this new development. I will send a message to her straightway. And in the meantime, please, settle yourselves in, find your room, Vanna. I will have a servant show your other friends their rooms. And dinner will be in a couple of hours. Until then, I do have a composition that I need to finish.
Banner smirks at that, and he nods to everyone else, but stays in the room as if they're leaving and being shown to their rooms, at least for a minute.
While that conversation was happening, can Lycum have been just like, I know he has a high passive perception anyway, but he would have been like actively keeping an eye on like if there's anybody else in the room, what their posture is, just kind of understanding what's going on.
Sure. Actually, if you're actively, let me try that one again. Sorry, a little under the weather. My voice is kind of not keeping up with my brain. If you have been actively looking around during this entire dialogue, go ahead and make a perception check. Okay. There are a few other servants in the area. Most of them are middle to late ages. A couple of them are younger. All wearing soft brown or green clothing with the house heraldry on top of the white howling the howling head or let me try this again. The head of a fey wolf that's howling on a field of blue. And most of them seem a little nervous at your presence, but you don't know if that has more to do with the fact that, well, first of all, let me ask, are you currently in direwolf form? Okay.
Yeah, I am.
I assumed that. So you don't know if that is more to do with the fact that you're a direwolf in a housing compound that houses, hundreds, maybe even thousands of fey wolves, or if it's something else. You do get the sense that though things appear to be completely normal, seems to be a little bit of a facade.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Though you're not entirely sure why, what was causing that.
As that guy walks away, I kind of turns his back on me. I kind of pull out my pan flute and start playing whatever it was he was playing earlier, but better. I hope.
Okay. For a moment, Tolliver just stops walking. He doesn't turn around. He doesn't say anything or do anything. He's just like still. And as the last notes of what you are playing fades away, he merely continues walking to his seat. The servants also don't really say anything either. They just merely motion towards the doors, towards the left wing there. Although you see one of the younger female servants kind of quirk a smile at the very edges of her mouth. And that's about all the acknowledgement that you get, Velis. You get the sense that this is a very different environment than you've ever been in before.
Oh, thank goodness for 8 wisdom.
I will be with you. I'll be with you all in just a minute. And I say Tolliver a private word.
He looks at you, and as do the rest of you head out? Okay.
Yep.
I'll head out, but reluctantly, and I'll be the last one out, just kind of following the group and keeping an eye like over my shoulder as I watch Banner.
As the last of you file out, Banner, Tolliver looks up at you, and you see the first edges of what Beetle sees, or Beetle seen earlier. As he looks up with you and he goes, Banner, I know. I am trying, okay? There is not much I can do at the moment. Shaila is far more powerful than I, and far more capable than I, and her house has far more pull in certain quarters than I do. We cannot go in there and blunder in blindly. This house, while powerful, is still not powerful enough to go it alone.
I have done no better, Tolliver. I'm sorry. You've always accepted me more than most. I just wanted to see how you were really doing.
How do you think I'm doing? I'm having to go to court, and not for playing.
Banner laughs. Just like that. Well, there's that. There's also never not been a lady of wolves.
That is true. For the better part of 4.5 millennia, she's been heading this house. The truth is, House Coriandel they're up to something. There is some rotten root at its heart, and I cannot find it, I cannot suss it out. And it's driving me crazy.
Well,
Anwell just shows up out of nowhere, and suddenly he's a speaker for the house, represents them.
What do you mean he shows up out of nowhere?
Well, he's only been an appointee of House Coriandel for the last 150 years or so.
Yeah, but was he...
Elwyn is not able to... The poor old elf is gone senile.
I'm aware of all that, but was he nowhere to be found before?
That's the puzzle. His sudden appearance in Seelie Court has caused quite a stir. Being that he was adopted, Elwyn adopted him, No one had heard of Anwell before then. But he was so impressed by Anwell's ability and mannerisms that, well, I don't know if it was a senile moment or something else. And I get the sense, though the Empress would never say it aloud, I get the sense that she shares my concern. Though getting a private audience with the Empress is well nigh to impossible, as you well know.
Well, court is neither yours nor my world.
Quite.
But I'm here now, and we're very different people, Tolliver. But, well,
Shaila's just going to be overjoyed to see you.
we'll figure it out.
Do me a favor, do not estrange her. We need her.
I have no intention of doing such, Tolliver. I estrange her merely by my presence.
The only possible hope that we have is to continue to be on the good side of House Eladi, as they are, after all, the second most powerful house in the court.
And how do you propose I endear myself to them when they don't approve of anyone who isn't a star elf?
Tolliver gets a smirk on his face. Well, have you tried to grow pointy ears?
It's good to see you.
It is good to see you too. I only wish it was under better circumstances.
It will be soon.
It needs to be.
And
I fear there is far more at stake here than a simple kidnapping. I just do not have the capacity to understand it, to put the pieces of the puzzle together.
Get some rest. I'll do the same.
Yes, perhaps some rest will help me finish my composition. He starts putting away his pan flute into a leather case, collects the parchments, and kind of pushes the inkwell off to the side and nods towards one of the servants who leaps forward to pick up the inkwell and the quill. And then he pauses for a moment and he goes, "That strange human you brought, he's not untalented."
He's not, most of the time.
Well,
His curiosity may get the better of him, though, so I apologize if he asks the wrong questions.
well, you know the city laws. Make sure
don't worry.
that if you do go into the city, stay in the market district. I have enough issues to deal with.
Oh, trust me, we won't be straying. There's too much at stake.
Oh,
And
you'll find that the city is under a great deal of downpour these days. Strangest thing. It is said that the city reflects the mood of the Empress, and that's even all the more disturbing these days. It's been raining for several weeks. It's beginning to become a problem. No one knows what to do. After all, she's the Empress. You can't simply say, "Are you depressed, my dear?"
I suppose you cannot. At least not here.
Well, Banner, if I see you at dinner, then so be it. Otherwise, have a good rest.
We will. Thank you again.
And with that, Tolliver goes off and disappears behind the door in the opposite wing, where you know his quarters to be. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I was gonna rejoin everybody.
Okay. As you head back towards the general direction of the group, you quickly realize that you're not even sure where they are. These wings are massive, and there's 3 floors of them, and several libraries and rooms and all kinds of different places. You are quickly joined by a servant who begins leading the way. In the meantime, the rest of you are indeed brought to several different rooms. A room for each of you, and each elaborately appointed with 4-post beds, mattresses full of feather down, the walls lined with bookshelves, and a desk in each room. Each room has a fireplace, and in front of it various rugs. Not banner. My cameras are switched. Like them in your room, before the fireplace, a great bear rug, but the bear is not the kind of bear you're accustomed to seeing, as its magenta fur is quite vibrant. Each of you have similar various rugs made out of the pelt of wild fey animals. Some are not animals that you readily recognize, as one of them apparently had 4 arms and 2 legs, and somehow resembled a almost like centaur-like in nature, but somehow it seemed to be more reminiscent of a panther. Each of these rooms are also adjoined with a common living area, as each room has 2 doors. One door that leads out to a short hall that leads out to the main hall that leads out to the great hall, and the second door leading to a common living area that all of your rooms open up to. And as you all, sans Banner, are settling into your rooms, what do you guys do?
Lycum walks up to that curious bear rug. It's still in direwolf form, and he walks up and he sees it, cocks his head like, what the heck is this? Slowly walks towards it, sniffs it, bites on it, tastes it, doesn't like the taste, realizes that it's just everything's okay, but a little put off, and he just curls up on the side of his room, in his room on the hardwood floor, just he just curls up and not even onto the bed. He's like, all right, I'm gonna take a nap here.
Okay.
Ellis goes into the room with Lycum because he figures he's safer in the room with Lycum.
That's fair.
And since Lycum's not on the bed, he'll just hop on the bed.
All right, Beetle and Dawn, what are you two doing? You each both are brought to different rooms, as well.
Like different, separate, the 2 of us, or different from everyone else?
You each are given a room.
Okay. Are our rooms near each other?
Yeah. All the rooms open up to a common living area, and then there's a second door on all of your rooms that seem to open up to a hallway that leads to a main hall that again leads to the Great Hall. And as you stop to consider that, you realize that makes absolutely no architectural sense. And you realize after you realize that, you quickly realize that there has to be some kind of magic involved.
All right. Well, I'm just gonna sit in the common area and study my Arcana books
All right.
for a while.
Go ahead and make a.
Oh, I did it. I
Nice.
learned something.
Was that your last success?
No.
No.
I'm at 9 now.
Okay. All right. Beetle, are you
Okay,
with us?
I have an intelligence of 9. It takes me some time.
I don't think Beetle is with us. All right. It's been a good long while since you all have last slept.
Oh, when I rejoin the group, I just want to make sure that Banner's going to relay to them the fact that Anwell was completely unknown, like just even in the city before he took his position, and also the whole bit about the Empress and her mood and the city being kind of covered in rain lately. I just want to make sure that I tell them that I got those 2 pieces of information while I was talking with Tolliver.
Okay. And you do rejoin them in the main the common living area, and you're able to tell them that. But yeah, it's been a while since you all have last bedded down. As a matter of fact, as you stop to consider that, you realize that the last time you all have slept has been camping outside of the Malawi camp. It's hard to tell. Your sense of time is all screwed up. You have no idea if it's been, a few hours or if it's been more than 24 hours. But you do know that each of you are starting to feel the effects of the travel. Hey, Beetle, if you want, go ahead and watch it on Twitch so that you can at least hear what's going on. Delayed, but you can still hear it. Having some technical difficulties. What do you all want to do?
After I'm done studying, I'm just gonna lay back in the common area and just entertain myself by making sparks dance around the room with prestidigitation. A little light show.
All right.
Lycan would have nudged Velis on the leg as he headed out to hang out in the common area to go rejoin them, and he just curls down and puts his head on his paws and just watches just enjoys watching Dawn learn magic and just enjoying using her magic, and just kind of reminds him a little bit of after he relearned the ability to do some of the simple things.
She's like doing like the studious thing with like a book in one hand and like casting a spell in like the other one while like reading it, trying to figure out like small variations to the same thing over and over again.
Which is the exact opposite of how Lycan has ever learned how to do magic.
Well, it's the opposite of how Dawn learned how to do it too. But she figures she may as well catch up on the theory side of things. The data that would consume would be a lot, but she could try.
While Velis goes out there with everybody and pulls out that stringed instrument that we'd found a while back and smiles and kicks back and just starts playing a tune. What's Lycan doing? Just laying on the floor in there?
Yeah, he's laying on the floor right now.
And using the cittern, Velis grins widely and then casts the spell Levitate using the instrument and levitates like on the floor.
Oh, man. Like him?
And you actually see musical notes kind of floating through the air coming from the cittern towards Lycan. And they kind of lift him up from the floor slowly, but
At first, Lycum looks like a dog who's trying to swim in water. Just not quite sure. All of a sudden, he's like, and then he realizes and sees what's happening, and just is like, kids. And he like curls back up while levitating, and just like turns and looks and makes sure he's just watching Velas now as he's just like laying in midair levitating.
Is Banner here?
Yeah, I'm there now, I think. At this point, are we talking about before bed or after?
No, yeah, I'm just before bed.
Yeah, he's there.
Okay, so I'm just gonna look over at everyone in the middle of my study and just ask. So, what's the plan now? What are we going to do? This room is all well and nice, but
Well, let me fill you in. I think what Tolliver has been... Tolliver, basically, what he was telling us was that he's been trying to work through the court with... Hang on here. With Shailia, Talia's childhood friend. She's a member of House Yaldi. They're powerful. They hate people who aren't Star Elves, but it's really all we've got. She loves Talia, and that's, I think, what's important. And I think if
but
we're
she'll hate all of us.
pretty much, so we need to be careful how we deal with her.
And she's the key to getting into seeing Talia?
She's the key to seeing the Empress, and I think perhaps the Empress is the key to getting to Talia. The only way we can operate here is with her permission.
Of course. Well, it sounds like we should go see her as soon as we can. Though I understand that we have to go about this delicately. Something that I'm not very accustomed to, if you have to know.
That makes two of us.
Lycum just kind of laughs, and you just hear a wolf laugh when Don says that.
Still, it sounds like things could be worse. At least we have a semblance of a strategy.
Well, it's good to know Tolliver's already made contact with her. I was a little worried I'd have to try and convince her to talk to me myself, to be quite honest. So, I guess the plan is to use the warning tally you gave me for the Empress as a way to see her and hope that perhaps there's something there that we can use that as a bargaining chip or something to get some leverage against Anwell.
Is there a good chance that the Empress will be amenable to any of our requests?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Velas looks at Banner and says, of course, in general, I am quite adept at the courtly procedures, but I'm not familiar with the Feywild. If you've been here before, if you have any advice, I would be more than happy to act as the mouthpiece for us. King.
Judging by how well that went earlier with your offer of lessons, I'm skeptical.
Well, I found his manner to be less than respectful, so I thought it would be interesting to tease him a bit.
If that is your plan, Velas, then I hate to tell you this, but you are the last person who should be speaking for us. Unfortunately, that attitude is going to be something we have to work around no matter where we are. If you thought Tolliver was bad, well, wait until you meet Shialia, because Tolliver is the accepting one.
Well, even though I found his manner just slightly disrespectful, in a courtly setting, I can refrain from trying to put those that consider themselves better than others in their place.
Velas, you should never visit my homeland if that bothers you.
What is
the
that?
High Elves were bad. These
I got
Star
a question.
Elves are something else.
I got a question. Would there be a way to find out if there's some sort of favor or task that could be completed for this person that would make us just above a speck of dirt? Or
Like a
finding someone
quest.
who could be of finding someone who could be an arbiter or voice for us, who is definitely above a speck of dirt.
Well, that is. Oh, hey, Emeraldi. Just a quick refresher. Those are both things that we're trying to do, in a sense. I think.
I think
Sealia is. Oh, go ahead, Noah. Or I mean, John.
I was just going to follow up with something Emeraldi just mentioned. If they do have a task that could be completed before they'd be willing to help us, then I still think we'd need to talk to them before. I mean, we wouldn't know about that until we asked about it.
Right. That's actually a great idea, Emeraldi. As far as an arbiter, that will be Tolliver and Shialia, because they are in the court, and that's the only way we're getting there.
Does it ever get dark around here? The sun hasn't set, or, as far as I can tell, moved at all since we've been here. Is that normal?
That's normal.
Somehow, nothing any of my fellow Wood Elves, Mistleton, ever said about the Feywild mentioned that.
It's
I
quite.
haven't even seen the sun.
I think it's more of a glow, but it's always light. It's sort of like always sunset.
Does it rain here?
Well, it's raining in the city now because apparently there's something going on with the Empress.
Does it just spontaneously rain? Or snow? Or anything?
Well, you remember the vines. I think, for the most part, there are parts that most of the land is attached to some powerful being. Here, it's the Empress.
Wonderful.
Just to give you an idea of who we're dealing with and why we shouldn't torment them. The land itself is theirs, so to speak. But are there any other? I feel I want to make sure that you all are comfortable with what we're doing. Have I left anything out other than the weather?
Will you remind me who has Talia right now? I know you explained it a while ago, but
Sure, I
has been
can
going
give a
on?
brief. Well, we've almost died a few times. That takes its toll. What happened? What Anwell and I, or what Tolliver and I know, Anwell took her. Anwell is a powerful member of one of the houses in the court. He was an adopted son, as I just mentioned Tolliver saying. I guess no one really knows where he came from, but he's the right hand of that house now.
Which house was that?
That is Corinthil,
Okay. I've heard you speak of that before.
or Corianthil, perhaps. I'm not the best with the pronunciations here, but he took her, and he cast me out of the Feywild.
Why did he take her?
That is a question I'm not sure I know the answer to. I think, well, when I saw that dream, the first dream I had, he said he wanted Talia to be his, somehow make it so that he was the consort to the Empress. So I think he's after the Empress.
Then, indeed, bringing that to the Empress's attention should be advantageous to us.
Well, and then Talia told me to warn her about House Caltha as well. But Anwell has her. He threw me out, and there's no evidence apparently of what happened here. And I think though, I don't understand. House Caltha is this legendary cursed house, and Talia wants me to warn the Empress. I don't understand how if she's in Anwell's custody, that makes any sense.
Well, maybe the Empress will understand the warning. It wasn't meant for you.
I suppose feel like I'm missing something.
Well, I feel like, regardless, speaking to the Empress or finding a way to speak with her is step one in all of this. Whatever approach we're taking.
Speaking...
Banner. This is kind of the feeling I have. There's a house that has not been seen or heard of in thousands of years.
Are you saying this to everyone now as an elf?
No, I'm definitely saying it just to you in wolf form.
All right.
Because I don't care to change. I just let you be my voice if you need to be, and I'm fine with you mistranslating everything I say.
Okay.
Anyway, and did Lycum hear about House Catha? Right, the house that's not been around for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's been mentioned many times.
And then there's this Anwell who was not known until recently. Plus, Talia warning you that to warn the Empress about this house taking over. Would this maybe be like an inside job of that house planting Anwell, getting their favor, taking over, and then working through one of the more up to speed one of the other houses to
Do
take
you
over?
relay this to the rest of us?
Now, as Banner looks at Lycum in wolf form, you just see Banner like looking at Lycum as he's growling, and you all just see like this light go on in Banner's head as he's staring this wolf in the eyes, and it's just like this is growl. He's like, and then Banner's like, ah, 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 and you're all like, and then he turns to you and tells you all what Lycum said.
It certainly seems that there should be some sort of connection there. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Same.
Well, I can go over court stuff with you, or maybe Anwa or Tolliver would be better for that. But
I don't think there's much of a reason for you to bother doing that. I'm sure we'll mess it up regardless.
Only a couple of us can go anyway, right?
Yeah, I have to check on that too. There's a lot of rules. Mostly, though, I think the main thing is do not turn your back on the Empress, do not get too close, and do not look at anyone else but her.
Sounds like the wild, actually, when you're facing an opponent.
The Feywild has wild in the name.
Weird.
Speaking of which, Brian, does being in the Feywild make... I think I asked something along these lines last time, but I want to reiterate it because that was a couple weeks ago.
Mhm.
Does being in the Feywild kind of feel any different to me because of my Fey ancestry? Can I feel it?
Yeah. From the moment you rolled in to now, you've actually had that same feeling as like if you've been gone and traveling on vacation for a long time and you just get home and you have that moment when you step in the door and you just kind of I'm home. And it was that same kind of feeling that you felt when you rolled into the Feywild to now, that even though it's a dangerous, unpredictable place, you've had this overriding feeling of being home. That this is where you belong. This is where you should be. And actually, over the last couple days, as you've traveled, Dawn, you've perhaps begun to realize that leaving is... You're not really sure how you're going to feel about that. Be like leaving
Alright.
home. But you still have to roll on your wild surge table if you get a roll a 1 or a 2.
Right.
Just as a reminder.
Right. I do remember that.
if there's nothing else, though, we should probably
And
rest.
as a matter of fact, as you were playing around with your magic earlier, you actually experienced some kind of wildness about it as you were, practicing and stuff, that it didn't always do exactly as you anticipated.
That's nothing new to Dawn.
Exactly. But it's even a little bit more so now.
I snap my book shut and say, well, I'm done for the night. I think I'm finally getting somewhere with this, but, well, you're right, Benner. We need our rest.
Just remember, we're all ants, and Shailia is the best. And he says sarcastically and laughs and goes to bed.
And that concludes this episode of our Forgotten Realms D&D campaign. If you have enjoyed these videos and the other episodes of our Forgotten Realms D&D campaign, please remember to hit the like button, subscribe to this channel if you want more, follow us on Twitter and Twitch. Hope to see you soon. Have a great day.